course, over time we learn things here aren't always as they seem. Like, being super positive could be toxic, and being negative sometimes, or what could be perceived as negative, might be just the prick of truth. It might just be something that doesn't feel good, but it's necessary. And what I want to talk about today is kind of along those lines, but what is the causality behind stupidity, stupid people, and foolishness, just folly, just people that say really dumb stuff that's so non sequitur, that's so... I don't even have any specific example right now. There wasn't like there was any kind of catalyst that made me want to do this video, other than just over time, just witnessing stupid things a lot. And I know I'm not, like, I don't know. I try to be balanced. I don't want to base myself, but I also don't want to be cocky. But I have my own subjective taste on things and my own perceptions. And of course, I think my taste is better than everyone else's. That's how everyone is, you know? It's funny, but it's like, yeah, I have better taste. But it's like, I also know that it's like everyone's taste is subjective, so it's more of just a cheeky thing to say. But what is stupid to you? Like, tell me what you think is stupid. Or things that people do that you're like, oh my god, like. And the reason I want to talk about this is because you see sometimes in leadership, alright, I mentioned before, let me go a step back. We live in kind of a slave-master realm. Like, you either have people working for you, or you're working for someone else, and whatever the case, you're in a hierarchical system. Everyone has someone above them, I guess, mostly everyone. Unless you're just completely off grid, away from society, and you're just you against the elements, the survival of the fittest. That's different. But one thing I think causes all this stupidity is when people in leadership give us plebeians, or just us regular public folk, an inch, it seems we take a mile. It's like the reason we have all these ridiculous kind of laws is because of idiots that do stupid things, and they're like, okay, now we need to make a law that says that we can't do this. And so there's all kinds of little, because it's the idiots that ruin it for us. It's the people that aren't able to govern themselves, that are just, they're inhibited, like they're not able to see things, like they're not in touch. They're in kind of a delusion of grandeur that doesn't benefit really anyone around them, but just themselves. And I mentioned before that, you know, delusions of grandeur can be a beautiful thing. It doesn't even have to, you don't even have to call it a delusion of grandeur. It could be an illusion of grandeur. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. But it is a negative thing when it makes it exalts yourself over others, or makes it harder for other people in a rude way, or something like that. Something that interferes with other people's freedom is what I'm trying to say. Interference. And it is very ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And it's hard to have compassion sometimes. And, you know, all of us are limited in our perceptions to a certain degree. So we're all fighting our own ignorance and naivety and just lack of perception to see the whole picture, and we usually just polarize in some kind of a way, instead of seeing how two things that almost seem contradictory can actually be true depending on the circumstance. So yeah, there's a lot of stupidity in this world, and perpetuation of the stupidity to keep people stupid, to keep them subverted, to keep them in a low state, a low vibration, if you will. A trendy thing to say. And when people are in that lower vibration, they attack people, they say tasteless things, just insipid bullshit. It's where a lot of the small talk is from, which small talk isn't always bad. I mentioned before, it's the small talk that leads to the deep thoughts. So you gotta start somewhere with something. You gotta find some common ground, and then you can go off. Like if you have an understanding or like a connection, it's like with someone else, you know, they're also attracted by the same things that attract us, like phenomenons and interesting things that are out of the ordinary. Because most people, that's just banal to them. Banal? I don't know how to say that word. I should just not say it. I don't know. Or I'll just say it my own way. Who cares? But that's the sad thing, is that people... And another thing that makes people stupid is obviously... I mean, you see it on social media. And it's just... There's not much depth there. There's just people regurgitating the same things. People don't spend enough time alone or enough time just thinking or having value for things. They're just like, kind of don't give it care mentality. It's all effed. And it's like, that is not, like, you're only here for a time. And yeah, it seems excruciatingly long when it's not pleasant. And it goes by way too fast when it's fun. And that's just the world we live. But we are creating heaven in this hell. And that's a big deal, to me at least. That's meaningful. And I am a seeker. I look for that scintilla. I look for something meaningful. Like the juicy bits, the spark, the drop, the potency. Like the meaningful things in life, the phenomenons. Most people, they're like, if they don't understand it, they're just like, that's dumb. Like why would you think of that? And that's dumb to say that's dumb. To like a phenomenon or something, and people do that. Like the kind of dumb comments I get is I'll talk about these meaningful things, and every once in a while someone has a comment and they're just like, focus on your driving, mate. Like you're driving a 2-ton vehicle or blah blah blah. It's like, look, I am obeying the laws. I actually haven't been in a vehicular accident to date, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I am quite spatially aware and aware of my shortcomings too. I know myself, at least to a certain degree, and I know what I don't know, and I can admit what I don't know about myself. I can be honest with myself. And I'm like, I want comments about the things I'm talking about. Don't criticize my driving. Like, you're not even here. You don't even see enough of what's going on. So to me, that's stupid. And another form of stupidity is being overconfident, underqualified. Which it can be pretty entertaining to see people like that. One archetypal example is the character J-Rock in Trailer Park Boys. He's very entertaining. It's like there are those folks out here, but it's usually not quite that obvious, or comical. It's usually not that comical. It's usually insipid, or just like a major turnoff, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of it here. And it's just born out of ignorance. If we had adequate mentorship here, yeah, there'd be another level of it, because if people are resistant to a certain truth, if it offends them, if it goes against the way that they want, yeah, then there's going to be resistance. But if our origins were known and we had value in ourselves and knew just how special this experience was, it's like that's a sign of intelligence, at least to me. That's attractive. And I don't find a whole lot of people that are asking these kind of questions, these ontological questions, existential questions, relating to the nature of our being and what we're doing here. These are necessary questions. I mean, you don't want to get too wrapped up in it. I try to stay on set. I look at this as a play. And so you don't want to take it too seriously, but you also don't want it to be distasteful. So it's that balance in between. And yeah, we're all inundated with stupidity. Like, you can't go through this life without encountering it, unless, like I said, you live out away from everyone. And then you just have to deal with your own limitations. And there's something to be said for that. I respect that. It takes a lot of fortitude to do such a thing, because we often rely on each other, like we're communal creatures, and to have a partnership society is definitely a more intelligent approach than this dominator society. But because we have this perception that there's all these stupid people, and we have to have laws to enforce to make sure no one's hurting other people or impeding their freedoms. So realizing all this, that's kind of the causality behind why things are set up the way they are. And there's so many seemingly unnecessary rules and laws because we live in a world with people that just don't really care enough about the things of value, or the things that certain people value. So I just wanted to say that in this video, because I think it's important to talk about these tough things. And yeah, I would rather not do a video on this, but we live in this world and there's a lot of this kind of thing going on, so I think it's worth talking about, even though it's not the most positive thing, obviously. It's part of our circumstance here. And I've definitely had times in my life where I just said really stupid things, and it hurts to be that stupid. It hurts. It's a travesty. It's a travesty to my character. Like, I don't want to present with a myopic, what's the word I'm looking for? Like dismissive, reductionist, disdainful, like how a lot of people are, and it's like they've lost heart, so it's like they go kind of trash, like they get trashed, and their attitude is trash. And yeah, I think someone should say that. I don't want to say it to them, because obviously that doesn't, I mean, if you tell someone they're being trash and they're being trash, like, that's not gonna they're not gonna be like, oh, thank you, I'll stop right now, and like, that doesn't happen. You have to be very gentle about confronting it, or just leave. It's just not worth your time. You don't want to engage in stupidity, a stupid conversation with someone that's not open-minded like